Most people believe the world is built like a staircase. You start at the bottom. You work hard. You follow the rules. You climb step by step. Effort becomes reward. Merit becomes success. And eventually, if you are good enough, you rise. This is the story we are taught to believe. But watch closely, and a different structure begins to reveal itself. One that does not resemble a staircase at all, but a ladder hidden behind a wall. A ladder that only a few seem to know exists. And those who climb it do not do so openly. They move quietly, sideways, often invisibly pulled upward by forces. The rest of us are trained not to see society operates on two levels. There is the visible world: laws, qualifications, morality, performance. The world of resumes, speeches, and official narratives. And then there is the invisible world: influence, loyalty, unspoken debts, alliances formed behind closed doors. In this world, success is not granted, it is permitted. And permission rarely comes from institutions. It comes from people. History offers an uncomfortable pattern. The figures who rose the fastest did not fight power head-on. They stood beside it, served it, protected it, made themselves useful to it. And only later, sometimes much later, did they outgrow it. We prefer to believe this is corruption, an exception, a flaw in the system. But what if it is the system? What if the world does not reward honesty, intelligence, or effort, but rewards those who understand how power actually moves? This is where Machiavelli enters the conversation, not as a devil whispering manipulation, but as a cold observer of human nature. He did not invent cruelty or ambition. He simply wrote down what people were already doing, quietly, efficiently, and without apology. His crime was honesty. Machiavelli understood something deeply unsettling. Power does not announce itself. It hides behind morality, tradition, and ideals. It prefers to be approached indirectly. And it is deeply suspicious of those who claim they do not want it. Those who ignore power do not become free. They become tools, replaceable, expendable, managed by people who understand the game better than they do. This is not about becoming ruthless. It is about becoming aware, because once you recognize the invisible ladder, the world begins to look different. Promotions make more sense. Sudden rises stop feeling random. Failure feels less personal and success less noble. The fastest climbers rarely challenge power. They align with it. They learn its rhythms, its fears, its weaknesses. They attach themselves to it, shape it from within. And when the moment is right, they step beyond it. The question is no longer whether this ladder exists. The question is whether you will pretend it doesn't while others quietly climb past you. To understand Machiavelli, you must first strip away the caricature. For centuries, his name has been reduced to a synonym for evil, as if he were teaching people how to become monsters. But Machiavelli was not inventing manipulation. He was documenting reality. He was describing how power actually behaved when morality was not watching. Machiavelli lived in Renaissance Italy, a world fractured into rival city-states, constantly invaded, betrayed, overthrown. Florence, his home, changed rulers not through elections, but through conspiracies, alliances, and sudden violence. In this world, intelligence alone did not keep you alive. Talent did not protect you. Virtue did not save you. Only proximity to power did. This is where Machiavelli's most forbidden insight emerges. No one rises alone. The idea of the self-made individual would have sounded absurd to him. In his world, survival depended on patrons, powerful figures who could shield you, elevate you, or destroy you with a word. To exist outside these networks was not independence. It was exposure. Machiavelli observed that the most dangerous people were not the tyrants, but the isolated idealists. those who believed merit would protect them. Those who assumed fairness was a law of nature rather than a story told by the powerful. He did not tell people to abandon morality. He warned them not to confuse morality with reality. Societies claim to admire ambition, but only in theory. In practice, open ambition triggers hostility. It signals threat. It makes people uneasy. Those who say, "I want power," are rarely given it. Those who pretend they don't, while quietly positioning themselves near a tar, welcomed. Power prefers invisibility. It rewards those who do not announce themselves as rivals. This is why Machiavelli emphasized patience, subtlety, and timing. Not because he admired deception, but because he understood fear. People in power fear replacement more than incompetence. They tolerate weakness before they tolerate challenge. So they elevate those who appear loyal, useful, and non-threatening, never those who shine too brightly too soon. This is not manipulation. It is psychology. Machiavelli was not offering a moral philosophy. He was offering a diagnostic one, like a physician describing a disease, not prescribing virtue. He believed that power does not flow through ideas, ideals, or principles. It flows through people, through relationships, through access, and this is the backbone of everything that follows. The laws ahead are not instructions on how the world should be. They are observations of how it already is. Ignoring them does not make you virtuous. It makes you vulnerable. Machiavelli's insight is unsettling because it removes comfort. It tells you that talent without alignment is fragile, that intelligence without protection is exposed, that ambition without strategy is suicidal. Power is never earned alone. It is borrowed first, then mastered later. Every era celebrates the lone genius, the individual who rises by sheer force of talent, the outsider who breaks the system through brilliance alone. It is a comforting myth because it flatters our sense of independence. But power has never worked this way. Not in ancient courts, not in modern corporations, not in politics, media, or culture. Rising independently is slow, and more often than not, it is fatal. Power does not welcome strangers. It tests them, resists them, and if necessary, eliminates them. Outsiders are unpredictable. They cannot be controlled. They do not yet belong to the web of obligations that makes power stable. So they are kept at a distance or pushed out entirely. This is why the first law is simple and deeply uncomfortable. Attach yourself to power before you attempt to create it. History is filled with figures who understood this instinctively. Advisors who became rulers, aides who became leaders, apprentices who outgrew their masters. Rarely did they begin by opposing power. They began by serving it. Psychologically, proximity alters perception. Humans trust authority that appears endorsed by other authority. When someone stands close to power, they are assumed to be competent, reliable, and vetted even when there is little evidence. This is how credibility is borrowed before it is earned. A person introduced by power is perceived differently than a person who introduces themselves. Protection follows the same logic. Those attached to powerful figures are shielded by association. Criticizing them becomes risky. Removing them becomes inconvenient. Their mistakes are forgiven more easily. Their growth is quietly supported. This dynamic is not accidental. It is rooted in fear. Power fears threats but tolerates tools. It welcomes those who reduce its burden, not those who increase it. By becoming useful, you stop being dangerous. The greatest resistance to this law comes from the ego. We are taught that dependence is weakness, that standing alone is noble, that submission is humiliation. But Machiavelli saw something different. Submission, when chosen strategically, is not surrender. It is positioning. To attach yourself to power is not to worship it. It is to study it from the inside, to learn its habits, its blind spots, its anxieties. It is to understand how decisions are made when no one is watching. The goal is never loyalty. Loyalty traps you. The goal is leverage, and leverage is built through access. Those who rise fastest do not declare independence early. They delay it. They allow power to elevate them, protect them, and legitimize them until they no longer need its permission. This law is not about becoming small. It is about becoming close enough to power that one day, distance becomes a choice. Modern culture teaches a dangerous lie that visibility is power. We are told to speak louder, post more, build a personal brand, make ourselves impossible to ignore. Attention is treated as currency, exposure as success. But in the presence of real power, visibility is often a liability. Those who seek attention announce themselves as competitors. Power is deeply sensitive to threat, not just physical threat, but symbolic threat, someone who draws admiration, loyalty, or influence away from the center. This is why ambitious visibility triggers discomfort in powerful people. It signals rivalry. It invites comparison. And comparison is where insecurity begins. Machiavelli understood this instinctively. He observed that powerful figures do not promote those who make them feel small. They promote those who make their lives easier. This is the essence of becoming indispensable rather than visible. Indispensability is quiet. It does not demand recognition. It solves problems before they become visible failures. It absorbs chaos, simplifies decisions, and protects power from embarrassment. When someone becomes essential to the smooth functioning of a system, removing them becomes costly. And power avoids cost whenever possible. Psychologically, this creates a reversal. The powerful individual begins to depend on the very person who appears subordinate. The relationship shifts not in public, but in private. Influence grows silently. History remembers loud climbers because they fall dramatically. Silent operators, on the other hand, rarely appear in headlines until it is too late to stop them. They rise through consistency, not spectacle. Through trust, not charisma. In modern organizations, the pattern repeats endlessly. The loudest voice in the room attracts attention and scrutiny. The quiet figure who consistently fixes problems attracts protection. When power feels safe around you, doors open without resistance. This law demands patience, restraint, psychological intelligence. It requires understanding that admiration is less valuable than necessity. That being liked is optional, but being needed is survival. Power elevates tools, not rivals. Those who chase recognition often burn out or are removed. Those who build systems quietly become part of the structure itself. They are consulted before decisions, included in conversations. Shielded during conflict, true power grows in the shadows, long before it ever becomes visible, and by the time visibility arrives, it no longer feels dangerous, because power has already learned it cannot function without you. The transition to the next law is subtle but inevitable. Once you become indispensable, a new danger emerges. Power begins to notice you. And what power notices, it measures. The next question is no longer how to remain useful, but how to avoid becoming threatening. Power does not fear incompetence, it fears humiliation. This is one of Machiavelli's most uncomfortable observations, and one of the most consistently proven across history. Powerful people will forgive mistakes, inefficiency, even disloyalty, but they rarely forgive being made to look small, especially in public, especially by those beneath them. Failure can be explained. Humiliation cannot. At the psychological core of power sits a fragile structure: ego. Status is not just external authority. It is an internal story a powerful person must constantly protect. Their position depends on others believing in their superiority, their decisiveness, their indispensability. Anything that disrupts this illusion even unintentionally registers as a threat. This is why competing with power is almost always a losing move. Outshining a superior, correcting them publicly, displaying brilliance too openly, these acts trigger defensive aggression. Not because power hates talent, but because it fears replacement. In dominance hierarchies, the most dangerous individual is not the enemy outside the system, but the subordinate who looks capable of taking the throne. History is littered with brilliant minds, destroyed for this very reason. Advisors executed not for treason, but for being too admired. Generals removed not for losing battles, but for winning too many. Courtiers exiled not for rebellion, but for becoming more impressive than their patrons. Machiavelli did not advise flattery because he admired dishonesty. He advised it because he understood survival. Feeding the ego of power is not submission, it is camouflaged by allowing power to feel superior. Wise, indispensable, you lower its defenses. You are no longer perceived as a rival, but as an extension. Someone safe, someone controllable, someone who knows their place. And paradoxically, this is what grants you freedom. Strategic humility is not self-erasure. It is restraint. It is choosing timing over pride, influence over applause, longevity over momentary victory. This is where moral discomfort arises. We are taught that self-respect means asserting ourselves, claiming credit, standing tall. But in the presence of power, pride is often indistinguishable from suicide. The question Machiavelli forces upon us is simple and brutal. Is pride worth exile? Those who compete with power announce their ambitions too early. Those who feed its ego are invited closer. And closeness, over time, reshapes the balance. This law does not ask you to think less of yourself. It asks you to think further ahead, because power rarely attacks those who flatter it. It attacks those who remind it that it can fall. Power is hungry, but not for money. What power craves most is recognition, validation, the quiet reassurance that it is respected, admired, and indispensable. To the powerful, credit is not a bonus. It is fuel. This is why Law 4 feels counterintuitive, even humiliating at first. Let power take the credit while you take the control. Most people chase acknowledgement. They want their name attached to success, their contribution seen, praised, remembered. But in the presence of power, this instinct works against you. Credit creates visibility. Visibility invites comparison, and comparison awakens insecurity. Machiavelli understood that recognition is a trap. When you surrender credit, something unexpected happens. Power relaxes. Defenses lower. Gratitude replaces suspicion. The powerful individual begins to associate success with their own leadership while unconsciously depending on the person who made it possible. This dependency is subtle, but profound. Psychologically, people grow attached to those who enhance their self-image. A leader who looks competent because of your work will protect you. They will seek your input. They will listen more closely, not because they see you as dominant, but because they see you as essential. Over time, authority becomes distracted by applause, while influence consolidates quietly behind the scenes. History is filled with figures who ruled without titles, strategists whose names never appeared in proclamations, advisors who shaped empires while kings took bows. The spotlight remained fixed on the throne, but the real decisions were made in the shadows beside it. This is not weakness. It is leverage. By letting power claim victory, you gain freedom of movement. You operate without scrutiny. You make adjustments without resistance. You shape outcomes without triggering ego defenses. Control, unlike authority, does not need to be visible. This law demands emotional discipline. It requires resisting the urge to be seen as brilliant, indispensable, or heroic. It asks you to trade short-term validation for long-term influence. And here is the paradox. Machiavelli exposes the less credit you demand, the more power you accumulate. Eventually, the hierarchy begins to invert not publicly, but functionally. Power comes to you for answers, for solutions, for direction. Decisions are theirs, but shaped by your framing. Authority remains above, but dependence flows downward. This is subtle dominance. You are not overthrowing power. You are guiding it, steering it, quietly deciding what is possible and what is not. And while someone else stands in the spotlight, receiving applause, you are building something far more durable than praise. You are building control. Power tolerates growth until it feels abandoned. This is the danger few anticipate. After attachment, usefulness, humility, and quiet influence, a moment arrives when one begins to outgrow the power that elevated them. Skills sharpen. Networks expand. Confidence solidifies. And suddenly, independence feels close. This is where many fall. Rising too fast destabilizes alliances. It creates uncertainty. And uncertainty is interpreted by power not as ambition, but as betrayal. Power does not react to loyalty. It reacts to psychological safety. The moment a powerful figure senses that you no longer need them, the relationship changes. Support becomes surveillance. Praise becomes distance. Protection becomes suspicion. The same system that once lifted you now begins preparing to neutralize you. History repeats this pattern relentlessly. Political protégés purged once they became popular. Corporate executives sidelined after building too much influence. Revolutionary figures eliminated once their usefulness expired. The crime is rarely rebellion, it is premature. Independence power punishes those who leave before it is ready to let them go. This is not cruelty. It is instinct. From a psychological perspective, power forms implicit contracts. It invests resources, access, legitimacy, protection with the expectation of continued relevance. When someone outgrows that framework too quickly, power experiences loss of control. And loss of control triggers retaliation. This is why timing matters more than courage. Machiavelli warned against abrupt detachment. Not because he admired loyalty, but because he understood fear. Sudden independence exposes power's vulnerability. Gradual independence preserves its dignity. The art lies in appearing loyal while preparing separation. This requires patience, strategic ambiguity, maintaining usefulness even as you quietly expand beyond dependency. You do not announce departure. You make yourself less central over time. You reduce friction. You allow power to acclimate to your growing autonomy without shock. Independence must feel natural, not threatening. Those who survive power do not escape it dramatically. They dissolve their reliance so slowly that power barely notices until resistance is impossible. This law forces a difficult truth. Freedom is not seized. It is transitioned into leaving too early invites destruction. Leaving too late traps you permanently. The space between these extremes is narrow and navigated only through restraint. Once you understand this, the final illusion of power begins to crack, because beneath authority, beneath dominance, beneath confidence, power is governed by something fragile, fear, and to master power fully, one must learn where that fear hides. Power wears a mask in public. It appears absolute, unshakable, invulnerable. Kings, CEOs, politicians, and cultural icons project confidence, decisiveness, and authority. Their words command attention. Their decisions seem inevitable. Their presence feels untouchable. But behind the throne, power is fragile. Fear hides in the corners. Anxiety lingers in private chambers. Every powerful figure, no matter how grand, wrestles with the same insecurities: the fear of exposure, the dread of irrelevance, the terror of replacement. These fears are invisible to the masses, yet they govern every action, every decision. Every alliance sought to understand power. One must learn to observe what it hides. Observation is a weapon far more potent than confrontation. Loud declarations of independence, challenges, or brilliance often trigger defensive reflexes. But quiet insight allows you to see where power wobbles without making it aware. Emotional intelligence becomes the tool of choice. Understanding how the powerful respond under stress, how they react to flattery or critique, how their decisions shift when they feel threatened. This is the roadmap to influence. The subtleties of tone, hesitation, and hesitation conceal opportunity. The quiet moments in meetings, the private conversations, the overlooked advisors, these are where the real patterns emerge. Silence is equally crucial. Speaking too soon exposes ambition. Acting too visibly invites suspicion. Restraint allows observation to unfold fully, revealing vulnerabilities that can later be leveraged without a fight. Power fears exposure more than failure. So knowledge becomes your shield and your advantage. History demonstrates the cost of ignoring these hidden weaknesses. Ambitious generals overstepping their bounds were executed, not for incompetence, but for revealing that they might threaten their sovereign. Corporate leaders misreading their CEO's anxieties fell from grace despite brilliance. Revolutionary movements collapsed when insurgents failed to understand the insecurities of those in command. By mapping the fear behind the throne, one gains leverage silently. Influence grows not through overt power, but through understanding what must be protected, what must be avoided, and what can be subtly guided. This law teaches a counterintuitive truth. The most formidable authority is rarely in its public face. Its real strength lies in perception. Its real weakness lies in private. Those who master observation, silence, and restraint can navigate the invisible currents of power, shaping outcomes while remaining unseen, untouchable, and indispensable. In the shadows of authority, knowledge is power. And those who understand the hidden fears of the mighty hold influence far beyond what appears on the surface. Power rarely reveals itself directly. It thrives in conflict, uncertainty, and division. And one of the most effective ways to navigate it is not by confronting it head-on, but by understanding its enemies. Machiavelli's seventh law is subtle, almost surgical. Use power's enemies without becoming one. The principle is deceptively simple, yet psychologically complex. Power is always surrounded by adversaries, rivals, critics, factions, competitors, offering clues about its weaknesses, desires, and blind spots. Observing these adversaries and even leveraging their actions allows you to gain advantage without triggering defensive aggression from power itself. Direct confrontation is dangerous. Aligning emotionally with an enemy of power signals loyalty, bias, or threat. It reduces your freedom, entangles you in someone else's agenda, and often marks you for retaliation. Strategic detachment, however, allows you to triangulate to understand the battlefield, anticipate shifts, and act precisely when and where it benefits you most. History provides countless examples. Courtiers who subtly mediated between feuding factions often rose higher than the fighters themselves. Advisors who used rebel strategies to improve the sovereign's position gained trust without ever appearing as a rival. In modern times, negotiators, diplomats, and executives who understand competitors' movements and leverage them for internal gain often achieve influence far beyond their apparent rank. This law requires emotional control. It demands that you resist the temptation to take sides based on morality, ideology, or passion. Power respects usefulness far more than principle. The most effective figures are those who can act as stabilizers, problem solvers, or intermediaries, those who convert conflict into opportunity. Without ever being the source of it, strategic triangulation becomes a form of quiet dominance. You learn not only who has influence, but also where it fractures. You identify threats, weaknesses, and openings without ever declaring intent. You position yourself as necessary not by force, but by indispensability. The danger lies in over-identification. Those who embrace an enemy too fully or allow resentment to dictate strategy inevitably become entangled in the same patterns of risk, exposure, and retaliation that they sought to exploit. Detachment is the armor that makes observation and leverage possible. To master this law is to wield conflict without being consumed by it, to extract value from chaos while remaining untouched. In a world where power is fragile behind its facade, understanding and using its adversaries is not just strategy, it is survival. Those who learn to navigate these shadows can advance quietly, safely, and with influence that grows precisely because it is invisible. Power is a living, breathing force, but it is also fragile. Too much presence can be dangerous. Those who remain too long in the orbit of authority risk exposure, resentment, and over-familiarity. They become predictable. Their value diminishes. Influence, once potent, begins to fade under the weight of expectation and dependence. This is where the eighth law asserts itself. Know when to disappear. Retreat is not surrender. It is strategy. It is the conscious decision to step away before power begins to diminish you. Absence is a tool and amplifier of mystique, a reset of influence. History offers countless lessons. Powerful advisors and courtiers who overstayed their welcome often fell victim not to betrayal, but to familiarity. Figures who vanished at the right moment returned with greater leverage, renewed respect, and untouchable authority. In modern politics and business, executives who rotate quietly disappear from headlines, or take sabbaticals often return with influence, magnified rather than diminished. The psychology behind this is simple, yet profound. Humans tend to undervalue what is always present. Scarcity, distance, and the unknown create desire, curiosity, and appreciation. Power is no exception. Those who withdraw temporarily force others to notice their absence and, in doing so, re-establish control over perception. Timing is everything. Leave too early, and you forfeit opportunities. Leave too late, and you invite resentment and restriction. The art lies in intuition, knowing when your presence has served its purpose, when influence has reached its limit, and when your continued visibility begins to threaten your leverage. Disappearance also protects against dependency. Power can be intoxicating, and those who rely too heavily on a position, a person, or a system risk losing autonomy. By stepping back, you remind power that it cannot control you entirely, preserving freedom while maintaining relevance. This law demands restraint, patience, and observation. It requires resisting the ego's urge to dominate, impress, or linger unnecessarily. Retreat becomes a form of silent authority, a declaration that influence is earned, not assumed. The paradox is unmistakable. By leaving, you often return stronger. By removing yourself, you allow others to confront their reliance, to revalue your importance, and to reset the dynamics in your favor in a culture obsessed with presence, attention, and constant visibility. Knowing when to disappear is a radical, almost forbidden skill. Yet it is precisely this discipline, the courage to vanish, that transforms fleeting power into lasting influence. Power is resilient. It survives the fall of individuals, the demise of leaders, the collapse of icons. History is littered with would-be revolutionaries who struck too soon, who assumed that removing a figurehead would grant them control and discovered, often painfully, that the system itself remained intact. The throne could be emptied, but the rules, networks, and unseen levers continued to operate. Authority endured. Influence was not theirs to claim. This is the essence of law eyes. Replace power only when the system is ready. True ascension is not a matter of defeating people, it's a matter of transforming the structures that support them. Power is less fragile than it appears. It is embedded in norms, hierarchies, and invisible currents. Attack the wrong target, and you are crushed by forces far larger than the individual you opposed. Revolutions fail not because they lack courage, but because they misidentify the foundation. They see the king, the CEO, the general, the president, and believe that their removal equals liberation. But power is systemic. Authority flows through institutions, traditions, and networks long after the person at the top is gone. Replace the figurehead too soon, and you inherit nothing but the machinery, fully armed to resist you. History demonstrates this pattern relentlessly. In Renaissance courts, ambitious courtiers were executed for attempting succession before the political network could be manipulated. In modern business, executives who ousted a CEO without consolidating institutional support found themselves isolated, blocked, or forced out. Revolutionary movements often topple dictators only to see the same dynamics re-emerge in new forms. Systems survive individuals. Strategic patience is essential. Power must be cultivated, observed, and understood before replacement is attempted. This means waiting until the system is vulnerable, until dependencies shift, until networks can be guided, influenced, or neutralized. It requires a long-term vision, subtle influence, and the discipline to restrain. Ambition until the moment is ripe. The difference between rebellion and succession is subtle but profound. Rebellion attacks prematurely. Succession waits. Rebellion provokes retaliation. Succession cops the system silently, shaping outcomes from within. Rebellion risks destruction. Succession consolidates power with minimal resistance. Machiavelli understood this instinctively. Leaders are rarely removed by force alone. They are replaced by those who first understand the machinery around them, who learn its weaknesses, and who maneuver carefully until the moment of transition is unavoidable. To master power is to respect the endurance of the system. To rise, one must not simply confront authority, but cultivate readiness, patience, and timing. Only then does replacement become true ascension. Power is seductive. It promises control, influence, and authority. It whispers the illusion of permanence. It dazzles with recognition, access, and the intoxicating sense that the world bends to your will. But power is a double-edged force. Those who misunderstand it are consumed by it, seduced into compromises, trapped by their own ambition, and ultimately imprisoned by the very structures they sought to command. The final law is simple, yet profound. Master power without becoming its prisoner. All the preceding laws: attachment, indispensability, humility, control, timing, observation, triangulation, absence, and patient succession are tools not for domination alone, but for self-preservation. They teach awareness over impulse, strategy over pride, patience over recklessness. Power is neither moral nor immoral. It is amoral. It does not reward virtue. It does not punish vice. It flows through those who understand its currents and evaporates around those who rely on ideals, luck, or honesty alone. To navigate it effectively, one must observe without attachment, influence without arrogance, and advance without awakening fear prematurely. Machiavelli's genius was not in inventing manipulation, but in revealing the hidden rules that govern human behavior. He exposes the delicate balance between ambition and survival. Every step miscalculated can trigger suspicion. Every misjudged word can provoke retaliation. The closer one rises, the sharper the scrutiny. the heavier the psychological weight. Yet the ultimate mastery of power lies in freedom. To control outcomes, guide decisions, and shape influence without surrendering your autonomy. To recognize the seduction of authority and to refuse to let it define your morality, your identity, or your inner life. To wield power as a tool, not a master. History is filled with tragic lessons. Brilliant strategists destroyed by impatience. Ambitious reformers consumed by visibility. Loyal allies devoured by pride or overreach. Each demonstrates a terrifying truth. Power, if misunderstood, does not elevate, devours. And yet, the law does not demand cynicism. It demands clarity. Observation replaces naivety. Patience replaces impulse. Restraint replaces ego. Influence becomes a subtle, almost invisible art, exercised from within networks rather than imposed from outside. Mastery is not domination. It is navigation, preservation, and awareness. The haunting question remains: will you remain morally comfortable, clinging to illusions of fairness and justice? Or will you become strategically awake, seeing the world as it truly is, understanding the invisible currents that shape every human interaction and moving deliberately through them? To master power without becoming its prisoner is to live on the razor's edge between influence and obsession, between freedom and entrapment. It is the ultimate test of self-knowledge, discipline, and philosophical courage, because in the end, power does not just reward skill, it reveals character. And it will show whether you are awake or whether you have allowed yourself to be seduced, consumed, and confined by the very force you sought to command.